All right. This is Senator Adam Hollier with the We Can Do Better podcast, and we're excited to have a very special guest who has something that people are probably really excited to be able to eat, and not always safe unless you are using the type of material you are. So, if you want to introduce yourself, tell us a little about your company, and say why your dough is the dough that people should be reaching in the refrigerator for, and not other dough, right? Like.
So, hi everyone. My name is Victoria Washington. I am a co-founder and the Chief Operations Officer of Detroit Dough. We are a Detroit-based edible cookie dough manufacturing company, and our dough is the best because we choose quality ingredients. We've not compromised in that area, and it's delicious flavors. You can just reach out to us personally at our email address or on social media handles. Eat Detroit Dough if you want to place an order. We do both corporate and individual orders at this time. And yeah.
And so when you, I think I was a little struck when you said edible, because I was like, isn't all cookie dough edible? But it's not, right? Because there is difference. So can you tell us what the difference between edible cookie dough is and I guess non-edible cookie dough?
Right. So two major things is one is the eggs. We do have any eggs or egg substitutes. Some companies will play around with it and they'll have an egg substitute. But honestly, because you're eating it raw and you're not baking it, particularly for our recipe, we just omit the eggs completely. And then the second most important thing really is the flour. You cannot use raw flour in your cookie dough. Otherwise, there could be the presence of E. coli. So we bake off the flour first, then we put that in there, and then it's good to go.
Okay. And so you are a mom, you're a Detroiter, you're an entrepreneur. Can you talk a little bit about what your journey has been like, what it's like to kind of, I don't want to say it's cliche, but I feel like people are always like, hey, so you're mom and you do all these other things, but nobody says that to a dad. Nobody's like, so you're dad and you have a job, but I know it's different, right? Like it's a different perspective and it's a very real thing that you have to deal with as a single mom. Can you just talk a little bit about how you've been able to manage that and things that experience?
Absolutely. So that is an interesting perspective. So I worked the first 8 months of my daughter's life. I was working in chemicals previously. And so that was just an interesting balance, as you mentioned, being a working mom, working away from my child. And so, but I did have to make a hard decision about really thinking about her future. What kind of life did I want to provide for her? And so I just took the leap of faith. At the time, Detroit Dough did not exist. I did not know what was going on. I just paid off all my debt and said, look, I'm in here. Like, what's going on? Like, what can I do?
Say that again. You paid off all your debt. And so
Yeah.
you went to, let's tell everybody a little bit about your education so they understand what that means to pay off debt.
Okay, so I did go to college scot-free. Like I always joke and say, Sally Mae doesn't know my name. Like, and that's true. So I used to go to the financial aid office, ask them for scholarships and tell them I was allergic to debt and I would break out in hives if they try to give me a loan. So I did try to seek grant funding. And they looked at me like, you really serious? And I said, yes, I am. So to God's glory, I was able to leave college with no debt. But I had a car note. So I had minimal debt. But I still wanted to make sure that I started this leg of the journey as on the best footing possible, even if that meant living well beneath my means and, seeking free, things and activities for my child to do, going to the public library, those things. I was comfortable with that, but I knew it was a priority for me to make sure I absorbed any debt, consumer debt, if at all existing, and paid off my car. So that's what I did.
And so that was a big part of you being an entrepreneur and that kind of space, was having that kind of comfort of not owing things, right?
Absolutely. It definitely alleviated a lot of pressure. So when the idea and concept of Detroit Dough, to be clear, I have two other business partners. I'm in business with my younger brother and his girlfriend, Autumn Kyles and Daniel Washington. So those are my business partners. And so Autumn came up with the idea, which was great, just checking trends and what was happening. A big inspiration for us was a cookie dough bar out in New York. And so we said, wow, that'd be cool if somebody brought it to Detroit.
Yeah.
We had to correct that. We said, no, it would be awesome for us to bring it to Detroit because we are here, not waiting around. So really about a month after I quit my job, I couldn't even get too comfortable being unemployed because they were talking about starting up a business. So that did alleviate a lot of pressure to be able to jump in though.
That's really cool, and I think there's a lot of discussion in the world about what it's like to be a Detroiter and want to start a business. I think there's a lot of discussion about people coming from other places here to start business. Can you just talk about what it was like being a Detroiter, the kind of resources or engagement, or how you were able to get connected with business space? Like, how did you go from I had this cool idea to I have a business plan, or I have investments, or I'm in a store, to I don't go to my regular job. I just do this.
Right. So our journey is unique in that what I brought to the table is that allergy to debt, which is kind of, and it's like a little um, contradictory when you think about going into business and wanting to have you have to deal with the overhead costs and startup costs even. But what that did is forced us and encouraged us to seek grant funding early on as seed money. And so thanks to Michigan Women's Forward, we actually were accepted into a pitch competition, was paired with a mentor, speaking to those things that you talked about to help us get that business plan founded, help us to get some of those institutional things that we needed at the ground level to start our business. And we won a pitch competition and got $6,000 before we had even sold 1 cup of dough. We just had the idea. And so that is what funded and led us to do pop-ups and get exposed to the public. Okay, this is going well. Success story. I mean, we sold $8,000 of dough in less than 11 hours, in the span of 11 hours. So we had people flocking all over from the state of Michigan. Exciting hype. You know what I mean? Like, it was, again, we were the first in Detroit, for sure. And so just fast forwarding and realizing, so we started the business, we founded it June 2017. We sold our first cup of dough November, like the weekend right after that pitch competition that we won the money. And then by January, we were pop up. We were just over the pop-ups. It was like dead as a doorknob, even in the dead of, holiday season. And we're like, wow, this isn't sustainable. So we're either gonna pivot or pack up. Which one is it? And that was a critical thing. So January, this is another cool part of our story. My brother, as I mentioned, Daniel, he actually was staying up late trying to think of a master plan on some pinky and brain type thinking. And he DM'd one of the executives of Imagine Entertainment Movie Theater and said, hey, I've got an awesome product. And I believe that you should take a meeting with me, essentially. Was very forward. Got that meeting, and next thing you know, Imagine was selling our product in the movie theaters several across the state. And so that was, like I said, it was a critical pivot that we had to see how we're going to make this work. That was the start of our income into the entertainment industry, which is why we'll speak, I'm sure, about it later, but why we were hit so hard and have been hit so hard because of COVID, because the entertainment venues are shut down still.
And so how has your business been able to, speaking of COVID, how has your business handled that? How has, all that happened? I know there's been a lot of discussion about, people shifting to direct to consumer, and that's only scalable, as much as you can connect, right? Like, a lot of restaurants go into your Uber Eats or DoorDash or, whatever, but people don't recognize that there is a service fee to the restaurant or whatever, and so they aren't making the same on it as they would have in person, and that is an impact. So how has delivery or how have you shifted under COVID?
Absolutely, that's a very good question. So first step was shock, right? Trying to wait it out, and that was only because of the funding that we had going into this pandemic, right? But at the end of the day, it was a blessing for grants to come forward. So we have been applying like crazy for grants. Again, trying to be allergic to debt, keep our costs low. And that has been, a huge opportunity for us because we have our story, our business is in order, and the branding is something we've worked so hard. So when people see our brand, it looks polished. So they're like buying into, okay, well, what is this? What is this pink Benz, this pink truck, this pink, just pink in my face, right? I can't help but look whether I wanted to or not. And so grants has helped us to at least maintain, tread water, I call it. Are we growing?
Like, so you said,
Google, I'm not going to Google, social media. We're the queen of Google, small business grants. Black-owned business grants. I mean, you just, you throw the buzzwords in Google, but that's how we're finding them. Of course, other people may send them to us because we are connected into that EcoSource. Food Lab Detroit has been an awesome opportunity for us to connect. That's been an awesome network for us. And then, like I said, the partnership with Michigan Women Forward. So even whether it's this Wayne County or Oakland County, because we did have a storefront out in 12 Oaks Mall. So even just really is taking advantage of all the work that you've already done.
Mm-hmm.
If you took a leap of faith out there, then maybe if they have resources, you may be eligible for them. Don't be shy about it. Because oftentimes people are thinking like, okay, well, I'm a Detroit-based business. No, don't limit yourself. And so we're looking at also, we recognize, especially with Black Lives Matter and all of these initiatives, let's be honest, if we're eligible for it, we're going to go for it. Period. There's no guarantee of getting it. But that's what we've been doing on our search, is keeping an eye out for big brands and big companies who have set aside money during this wild and crazy time for businesses for this purpose.
And so you've seen an opportunity to change your business, because your business was primarily, in the entertainment space. And I know you've been at, in addition to Imagine, you were at LCA, you were at some of those other places. Can you talk a little bit about where you were and how that's led you to the transition to where you are now, how you got there, how important that resiliency or flexibility is as a small business owner, as an entrepreneur, as a young person,
Absolutely. No, true. Okay. So no, that's very good. So one of the things that we have learned, first off, we are Black owned. It's 3 black people, and we're young. I'm the eldest. I'm 30. So like I said, it's my younger brother. They're 20, and they're both the same age. So they're 26. So you got 2 26-year-olds and a 30-year-old. I mean, we're young. So we're trying to figure this out on our own. We do not have a major mentor in the food space. As I said, Food Lab Detroit has been an awesome a resource for us. But I mean, in food manufacturing, because it's a different game when you're a manufacturer than it is if you're a restaurant. I mean, it's just different levels, right? Even just with all of the legality behind it, what certifications to go for, or what licenses to go for. So we've been navigating this all on our own. And what we have found, though, is there have been several mentorship opportunities that have come up for us to be mentors to other people. So for us, well, as part of Detroit Dough, we did purchase a commercial space that we envisioned was going to be our production space, because again, coming into ownership and wanting to have your own place and space. But we're finding there's a huge gap here in the food ecosystem in Detroit that we can potentially fill. And so as we pivot, we're looking at how can Detroit Dough possibly come from being a product manufacturer to now providing, in some ways, a service or even a mentorship to other people, even an incubator of sorts to other people, because of the success we've had. So that's kind of where we are as a potential pivot. And then we still have a desire to service entertainment venues. Those are wholesale accounts. All of this, I'm paying, I'm giving you an order and I got to deal with this person. That's a lot of points of contact. When you're talking about catering for a company, or we even got into some events, they could rent out the cart, which do staff cart. Well, we're not offering the staff cart. You can rent the cart, but it's pretty much a drop and go. Thank you very much. See you later. I'll pick it up later, So that is kind of has gotten our wheels spinning to say, this may not be our passion to be making cookie dough for the rest of our lives, but we know that there are people out there who are truly passionate about food. Where could they go right now in Detroit to test kitchen? That's not highfalutin prices. That's not, extraneous, like I said, environment or limited capacity, all of those factors that we have kind of come up against. How can we be an asset and provide a resource to others to keep this food ecosystem going?
Like a business incubator, commercial kitchen type space or something like
that?
Yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That has been a big need around for some time.
Yes. Yeah.
Many years ago, I ran the Michigan Business Incubation Association. We were helping set up some commercial kitchens around the state.
Oh, that's really great. Okay. Yes. And so, I mean, how much genius is birthed out of Detroit, right? But then where do people go? Because the cottage food law only goes so far. And we did start under cottage food law as well. That's another part of our story. And so it's funny, when we got the deal with Imagine, we were still under cottage food law. And I woke up like,
you have to explain what that is, what that means, how the transition goes. So
Right. So the cottage food law is a law that is in place to allow food entrepreneurs or budding food entrepreneurs to test out their food product in an environment such as a farmer's market or at least direct sale. So as long as you're not having someone else sell your product and you're the one that's selling it and you can be held accountable for it, they have the rules and regulations on what the sticker should say and the requirements for ingredients and all of that. But it's really beautiful that over the last couple of years, they've raised the ceiling for how much you can make as a small business owner, food business owner. So if you're got a side hustle going, you can make up to 20 grand and still don't have to have a food license. Now, of course, there again, it's so prohibiting if you want to be hands off and turn it over and have other people sell your product. That's when you grow up and get your big, pants on and you get your food license. But it's a beautiful, beautiful space for food entrepreneurs to really test that product out.
And so you went from, hey, you're in this lower license kind of, I don't want to say casual, but a lot less intense process. And then you, like every other person, got the big deal, right? Like you got the deal you've been looking for, got the deal you wanted, and all of a sudden the regulations were a lot more. Can you talk about how you transitioned, how you said, oh, you know what? I've been fighting so hard to get this deal. Okay, got the deal.
Right.
Oh, how do I get this license? How do I talk about that for folks?
So not going in grave detail, but I will tell people you have to be transparent. I think it's very daunting when you're at the table negotiating. Here this is a client. We're supposed to be servicing you. But you know what? I have to flip this on its head because I'm going to be transparent with you on where my shortcomings are as a business. I'm going to flex my youth a little bit and flex the potential of my product. And so I'm going to show you the money in a sense of the potential. And then I'm going to be very clear about my ask. This is what I need to make, this is the amount of money you can make. And this is what I need to get us there.
Wait, so as a, even negotiating with a potential client, you are really negotiating. You are saying, hey, I have a great product. There's value in this. But for me to be successful, for us to be successful, this is what I need you to do.
Absolutely. You have to. And it's nerve wracking because you can lose the deal and they can say, listen here, I don't have to play small. I don't need your small business, but we are, and we claim it to this day, we are the first edible cookie dough company in the nation to have put edible cookie dough in a cup and sold it to a movie theater, period. So when you have bigger fish on the sidelines with bigger money, they've already got the manufacturing facility that we're dreaming of. It's easy for them to swoop in and be competitive. However, it still doesn't change that was the foundation that we were able to lead. And so you can, in some ways, business is business. You can't play on folks' heartstrings too much because it's about the dollar. And that particular industry have very high margins. But yes, early on, understanding that you're bringing something that's niche to the table, you can stand in that and say, listen, we have an opportunity to make money here, and this is what it's going to take to do it. Do you have the capacity or not? And you do have to kind of play hardball because it's very hard being a small business in a big arena. But then when you build a brand, like even though we're Detroit Dough, we always say we have a local brand with a national potential, period. You could be in Timbuktu and see Detroit Dough on the shelves and be like, I like that. Number one, I like that product, it's quality. And two, I love that brand. I can see it from a distance, It resonates with me. So with that in mind, though, there's a double-edged sword. People don't believe that you're a small business and that the same three co-founders that founded it are the only employees that ever existed, makes all the dough, packs all the dough, and have been doing it from the beginning of time. So there's that. But that's, again, advocating for yourself and really putting it out there and being transparent. And don't worry about, oh, am I telling too much? Am I, showing? Because they're either going to say yes or no. Period. So.
Okay. And so what is the advice that you give to someone else? You talked a lot about the little bit of mentorship you had, but the lack of mentorship that you maybe wanted and, trying to be a mentor in this space yourself. What is the, advice to a next you?
Yes. It's imperative to scour the space for someone that can help. And even if that person doesn't have the answer to your question, if they inquire, so I can ask you, hey, I need, this particular item. And you can say, well, I don't have it. I can walk away from that question and say, darn, he doesn't have what I need. Or I can take that next step and say, I know you don't have it, but do you know anybody that does? People aren't going to readily say, oh yeah, my boy Bob, he has it for you. No, because now I'm letting you into my network. And I don't know yet if you're going to prove yourself. So as again, advocate for yourself. First of all, spend the time to legitimize your business. If you're running around here with an expensive hobby, then you can't be expected to be treated like a business. We did have, just to be transparent, there was another Detroit doe that started out at the beginning. There was a lady who was on Facebook with the name. We had gone to Lara and got the name. Then we start looking for our social media handles. I think as most people would do, like I need this business name. If it's not available, I got to change my name. And here we are, like we're Detroit and we making dough. What you mean? Like, what do you mean it's taken? But that was something that we had to learn. Like, wow, people don't do it the way that you think that they're going to do it. And instead, and not in the interest of stepping on someone's toes, but still saying, let me check myself. Did I do the right thing? Did I establish myself as a business? I did. Well, I'm sorry, but a Facebook group is not going to cut it. And so starting there, I would advise people, get your affairs in order, seek the accounting, seek the legal, the lawyer, seek all of these resources that you need to find them, and to seek mentors in the space or people who can at least point you to the direction, because people are bumping elbows all the time with people you would never even know. You would never know that his uncle has what you need, but you never asked.
That's awesome. So, I mean, what else do people need to know? Like, what has it been like, your personal experience being a Detroiter? How does your business impact the community that you live in? Like, being saying Detroit Dough is a cool name, but how is it rooted in Detroit? What is the Detroit impact? How does that carry over? How is that a part of your brand?
I love that you asked that. Thank you, because it's very, very important to us being Detroit dough. So from the beginning, we have committed 5% of all sales to a local nonprofit. It's called Northwest Goldberg Cares. And so the idea is that I and my brother have lived in Northwest Goldberg, Detroit, all of our lives. Now, just for a reference for those who don't know, most people know Henry Ford Health System. Most people know the Motown Museum. That's not New Center. That is Northwest Goldberg. And so you have these pillars in this community. And then there was a family-owned bodega that was here for 45 years. I grew up walking there with my parents to go buy bacon, Black-owned, nice. It's shut down. So you've seen that this neighborhood has been disfranchised over time, lack of resources. We're 10 minutes from downtown. When they're pouring money into downtown, it doesn't somehow magically trickle 10 minutes away. It stays right there, very guarded. So it was important for us, in spite of going away for college and coming back, for us to really consider the impact that we wanted to have where we lay our head and have lived all of our lives. And so that meant sacrificing and making sure that we committed 5% of all sales to go back into the neighborhood. That nonprofit has created the first ever art park in this neighborhood, had a garden that was giving fresh fruits and vegetables to the families here, door-to-door service even, and as well as they have just created a project where they put a sheltered bus covering at one of the major bus stops on Linwood and Ferry Park. And so that was also very important, as I said, to be feeding entity that is actually doing the work for the families that are making an impact right here in Detroit. So we can have a store anywhere. And of course, some people said, oh, what is Detroit Dough doing out in Novi? It's not Novi Dough. You're right, it's not. But trust and believe that the money that we're making here is still having a very major and positive impact on Detroit families. And that's very important to us.
Okay. So I appreciate that you're doing that. That's right in the Second Senate District. We're always excited to see that work going on. What else do people need to know who are like, hey, I've got this idea. I can't afford to quit my job yet, but I want to start. Is there, what is that little bit of advice, that first step that you'd encourage people to do? How do they make that transition?
The first thing that pops in my mind is write the vision, make it plain. Whatever you are desiring to do, the thoughts will fly. You'll be woken up in the middle of the night or whatever, but you have to start writing it down, seeing it in black and white, and then you can start chipping away at making progress. I would also say, really tap into the resources. Now, Detroit is so unique because we have all these incubators and all these opportunities that are free in Detroit and will be several $100s in another city under the same name. So at the end of the day, I would encourage Detroiters or budding and entrepreneurs and budding entrepreneurs, go for the free money, put your application in, but that requires you have to have your profit and loss statements together. You have to have all of these things. Know your story. That starts there. What is your why? Why are you doing this? That's what fuels you when you don't feel like it and you burning the midnight oil. And also know your story, because at any given point, just like this opportunity, it doesn't matter how many years have passed. I have to be able to go back and say, back in 2017, this is why we did what we did. And as you have done, I love that, is the before and after. Okay, that's what it was then. Now tell me what it's like now. And then I want to know the in-between of how you got there. So if you're not living in the present moment of your own business, you're not going to be able to recount the story in a way that someone would say, I understand. They're going to be confused and you're going to be confused, and it's just a ball of confusion. So you have to get your vision plain and make it set, and then start seeking resources. Don't feel that you have to do it all on your own. I think sometimes that is a misnomer. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a go-getter. I'm not going to be lazy. I'm going to go for what I want, meaning I have to go by myself. No, you need to start lining up who you need to either take with you. And everybody doesn't have to be on the team. We haven't added co-founders. We've employed some people. We've have our, people that we even get advice from. But as far as, we've been very mindful who we allow to just get in a piece of the company. Or, you can pitch and you can get on Shark Tank and all that, but trust and believe they're getting a cut. They're getting their cut. And so do you really want to relinquish that control? So advisory and seeking advice from other people, and being mindful who you let in your ear too. People try to talk us off of the name Detroit though. Do you really think that you want to keep that name? Do you think that that's wise? Are you, blah, blah, blah. Listen, that's what we said. It's what you make it.
Mm-hmm.
What you make it. So that's the advice I would have.
Well, I appreciate you taking some time and sharing your story with us and our listeners, and doing the kind of cool work. I'm gonna have to check out the cookie dough myself, and having a very pregnant wife, she's gonna be real excited about it. We've had, kind of back and forth about which ones are acceptable. It's hard to find one that you can actually eat.
Right. Well, I will say this. Times have changed. The big names have now come out with the edible cookie dough. So it's not as hard. I don't know when the last time you checked, but
some in the freezer, but it's still not. I mean, maybe it's also because of pandemic times, but you can't just find them out and about.
Well, I haven't been looking for the competition. I will be honest. I will whip some of mine up. But yeah,
you can. Someone who has been looking, there are a lot of options out there.
Wow. Okay. So definitely, we're here. So reach out and we're happy to make that happen. And for anyone, like I said, who is interested in ordering, we do offer local pickups. I just want to add the one thing that was pretty cool, I think, because of the different art parks and Holland mazes that we've created in the neighborhood, instead of meeting people at a building, because we don't have a storefront in Detroit, is what we've been doing is saying, hey, we talk so much about our nonprofit. We talk about these projects. So we're doing pickups, and we'll do drop-offs, dough drop-offs. You'll pull up, you'll see the pink bins, and we, give you the dough out of the, the Detroit dough truck, but you get to pick it up at the art park or at the Holland Maze. So you get to finally see the work that we've been doing. So that's one of the things that we've also done.
How can folks follow you on social media or get in touch? Like, how do people follow you? Yeah, where are you at?
Yeah, so we are definitely on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and that is at Eat Detroit Dough handle. And then our email address is the word hello at eatdetroitdough.com, and that is where you will place your order as well. So reach out if you have any questions. We're very responsive, so just reach out and let us know.
Awesome. Well, Victoria, thank you so much for taking some time with us. I'm excited to get my first try of the Detroit dough. And looking forward to seeing more successful days. And I think, like everyone else, excited about the time where we are back in places where your stuff is already there, like the movies and sports, and when the world is safe to out the cabin, as they say.
Yes, awesome. Well, thank you for your time. I really appreciate you too.